We tend to picture deliverance as one dramatic moment, a flash, a shout, and it's done forever. Rod Parker's story starts that way too, with a single night, a single moment. But it doesn't end there, and that's the whole story worth telling. The book is called From Death to Deliverance, and what it's really about is a place you keep coming back to, the altar. Picture it, a hospital corridor late at night, machines humming in the dark. Rod Parker, in his account, was fighting for his life after a violent attack, and somewhere in that fight, he met Jesus. Like Paul on the Damascus Road, he says it wasn't something he could later explain away. He lived. But the man who walked out of that hospital still carried addiction, rage, years of bondage he'd never dealt with. Being rescued, he'd learned, was only page 1. So the story moves forward, past the hospital, past the headlines, to a quieter scene, a stone altar, and the first flicker of a flame. Because this, Parker says, is where the real story happens. Not on a stage, not in a technique. On an altar, the place where a man lays himself down, and the fiery presence of God falls and does what willpower never could. Deliverance isn't a fireworks moment, it's a life held at the altar. Parker took the freedom he'd been given and built a life around helping other people find theirs. And the book he wrote to tell that story doesn't read like a devotional you skim before bed. It reads like a field report from someone still out on the front lines, honest that the freedom he's describing didn't come easy. In fact, that's the title of an early chapter. Freedom doesn't come easy. The rescue happened in an instant. The freedom took years. Parker had to go back and face what he'd buried, break with what still had its grip on him, learn slowly that the war didn't end the day he got saved. Delivered, yes, but still, he says, in a war. So he kept returning to that altar, not the decorative kind at the front of a church. Parker means something raw, a place you build yourself, stone by stone, where you stop managing your own life and hand the whole thing over. Keeping that altar standing, he says, is the real war of the Christian life. And here's the moment the story turns. We think surrender means losing. Parker learned it's the opposite. Surrender is the weapon. Scripture calls it presenting yourself as a living sacrifice, climbing onto the altar on purpose. Because the authority to walk free was his all along. He just had to lay down whatever had been holding the pen. You don't drift into surrender. You build an altar and climb on. That's the part of the story most people miss. One chapter is even titled, Authority Was Always the Plan. Jesus didn't rescue him and leave him cowering in the corner. He handed him keys. The same authority that broke Parker's chains was always meant to be picked up and used. Freedom, in his telling, isn't just something that happens to you. It's something you learn to stand in. But Parker won't let the story stay easy. He's honest that it costs something. There's a whole chapter called When It Costs You Everything. No prosperity shortcut here, just what he calls costly grace, the kind that asks for all of you and hands back infinitely more than it took. The rescue was free. Keeping the freedom will cost you everything and be worth it. Somewhere in that cost, Parker started asking a harder question, not just what needs to be cast out, but what needs to be torn down. The patterns of thinking, the old agreements, the lies that outlived the moment you got free. Scripture says our weapons are mighty for pulling exactly those down. In his telling, deliverance is as much demolition as it is rescue. Let me slow the story down for a second because this part matters. If you're fighting addiction or you're in a dark place tonight, please hear this. Real deliverance and real help belong together. God works through doctors, counselors, and recovery communities too. Reaching out for that kind of help is wisdom, not weak faith. It stands alongside prayer. It never replaces it, and prayer never replaces it either. And keep the focus exactly where Parker keeps it. On Jesus, not on any method, not on any minister. The power was never in the technique. It was always in him. Which brings the story to the image Parker keeps returning to, fire on an altar. Centuries earlier, a prophet rebuilt a broken down altar and watched fire fall from heaven onto it. Parker's counsel echoes that same stubborn pattern. When life knocks your altar down, you build it again, and you keep building it until the presence of God becomes the most normal thing about you. Fire doesn't fall on a stage, it falls on an altar. And that's where Parker's story lands, chapter after chapter, until the very last page. Run to him harder than you ran from him. However far the running took you, the altar's still standing, and so is he. Run to him harder than you ran from him. So what you're really holding when you pick up this book is one man's honest map, from a death he never chose, through a deliverance he had to fight for, to an altar he learned to keep. His testimony, chapter by chapter, doubles as a blueprint for yours. At Nori Media Group, we trust stories that don't flatter you, the ones that tell you freedom is real and freedom is a fight in the same breath. Rod Parker's story does both. It says no past is too dark, no grip too strong, and it hands you the one posture that changes everything. You don't have to almost die to meet him. You just have to get on the altar, From Death to Deliverance by Rod Parker, with forewords by Joseph Z. and Randy K. from Destiny Image. You can get the ebook now through Faith and Flame. The link is below. If you're tired of managing what only surrender can heal, start there.